The Lakers hang on and win at 123-115. And it was a heck of a game, really back and forth. DeAndre Ayton, 29 points, 14 of 19 from the field. He was a man among boys down low. I mean, this is the guy you want controlling the paint. And don't sleep on Dini Avanja, 33 points, 10 of 20, 10 of 11 from the line. The kid's got range. He's mixing it up, and he kept Portland in it. But at the end of the day, the Lakers made the plays they had to make. Team shooting, it was a mismatch. Lakers hit 58.8% overall, 39% from three. Portland, 49.4% and just 22.5% from downtown. That's the difference right there. Lakers assist, 29. They were moving the ball, running the offense, getting the right guy's shots. Rebounds were close, 34-38. But the Lakers were just sharper when it mattered. Turnovers about even, 17-18, but the Lakers scored more off mistakes, 28 points, fast breaks. Portland had 20, but couldn't close the gap. Points in the paint tied at 64, but it's that outside shooting, that ball movement that separates the two. At the end of the night, Lakers pull it off 123-115, and that's what experience, smart basketball, and a guy like Ayton does for you. You want dominance in the middle. You got it. You want guys who can step up from anywhere on the floor. Lakers showed it tonight. Greetings from our Temecula studios. Welcome to the Ryder Report. I am Ryder Bullock. Going to continue with basketball. Timberwolves 125, Nets 109. Julius Randle recorded his first triple-double as a Timberwolf, 19 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists. Dante DiVincenzo at 25, Jaden McDaniels 22, Rudy Gobert 15 points and 12 rebounds. Minnesota shot 56% overall and 41% from the three-point range. Out-rebounded Brooklyn 53-40 and controlled the game despite missing All-Star guard Anthony Edwards with a hamstring. Brooklyn's Cam Thomas scored 25 points and Nick Claxton 19, but the Nets fell to 0-7 after Minnesota led by 12 in the third. Brooklyn mounted a 24-13 run to take an 88-87 lead. Randle scored 4 straight to reclaim the advantage, and Minnesota opened the fourth with a 6-0 run, putting the game out of reach. Michael Porter Jr. did not play for personal reasons. Up next, Timberwolves remain in New York to face the Knicks Wednesday. Nets visit Indiana. Speaking of Indiana, Pacers fell to the Bucks 117-115. Giannis Antetokounmpo delivered a 17-foot buzzer beater, jumping to seal the win, finishing with 33 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 assists on 14 of 21 shooting. Kyle Kuzma contributed 15 points. Pascal Siakam led the Pacers with 32 points and 8 assists, while Isaiah Jackson posted 21 points and 10 rebounds. Miles Turner, playing for Milwaukee against his former team, had 9 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 blocks and faced constant boos. Indiana erased an 11-point deficit late and tied the game with 14 seconds remaining, but Giannis hit the winner off the inbound. Up next, Bucks at Atlanta Tuesday. Pacers host Brooklyn Wednesday. Boston Jazz 105-103. Utah overcame a second-half double-digit deficit to win off Jusuf Nurkic's putback with 0.6 seconds remaining. Keno George scored a season-high 31 points. Lauri Markkanen added 20 points and 9 rebounds. Boston struggled from the three-point range, hitting only 11 of 51, and Jaylen Brown scored 36 points but went 0 of 9 from deep. Utah erased a 10-point halftime deficit with a 25-14 run early in the second half. The game was tied at 101 in the final minute when Boston committed a turnover, allowing Utah to finish the possession and run out the clock. The Jazz ended a 3-game losing streak. Celtics lose their second straight. Up next, Jazz at Detroit Wednesday. Celtics host Washington on Wednesday. Knicks Wizards. Karl Anthony Towns exploded for a season-high 33 points and 13 rebounds, leading New York to a convincing 119-102 win over Washington. Jalen Brunson and OG Anunoby each added 16 points, Jordan Clarkson 15 off the bench, and Josh Hart chipped in a double-double with 12 points and 10 rebounds. Landry Shamet added 11, Mikal Bridges 10, rounding out a balanced attack for the Knicks. Washington's Alex Sarr led the Wizards with 19 points, while Colabley, Crispet, and George each scored 15, but despite a hot start, shooting 72.2% in the first quarter, the Wizards couldn't hold it. They led 32-22 after Trey Johnson's jumper opened the second, still ahead 38-34 before the Knicks went on a 16-3 run to take it 50-41. Washington answered with 13 straight points, including a 4-point play from Colabley, but Towns responded with his own 4-point play just before halftime, and New York walked off with a 57-54 edge. Towns finished the half with 16 points and 10 boards. The Knicks poured it on in the third, turning a 74-65 lead into a 91-65 advantage with a 17-0 run. Washington finally scored again on Marvin Bagley's free throws with 2:47 left in the quarter, but New York kept the pedal down. Josh Hart's three-pointer pushed the lead to its biggest of the night, 94-66, and from there the Knicks cruised home. Up next, Wizards visit Boston Wednesday. Knicks host Minnesota on Wednesday. Rockets 110, Mavericks 102. Amen Thompson dropped a season-high 27 points. Alperen Sengun added 26 points and 11 rebounds, and the Houston Rockets survived a tense finish to outlast the Dallas Mavericks 110-102. Houston has now won 4 straight games after starting the season 0-2, showing they can handle tight late-game pressure. The finish was intense. Houston led by 1 when Sengun spun through traffic and scored to make it 105-102 with about 90 seconds remaining. P.J. Washington missed a three-pointer. Josh Okogie hit 2 free throws for 107-102. D'Angelo Russell missed from deep, and Thompson added a free throw to push it to 108-102 with 27 seconds left. Thompson then blocked a three-pointer by number 1 pick Cooper Flagg, and Terry Eason capped the win with a dunk to seal it. For Dallas, P.J. Washington had a season-high 29 points and 12 rebounds. Max Christie added 17, and Flagg chipped in 12 points and 5 boards. Kevin Durant had 21 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists, but struggled from the floor, shooting just 6 of 18. Durant hit his first three-pointer after missing 6 in a row, then made another to pull Dallas within striking distance at 99-94. With 5 minutes remaining, the Mavericks tied it at 99 all on a three-point play by Washington with 4 minutes left before Houston pulled away. Up next, Mavericks host New Orleans Wednesday. Rockets begin a 3-game road trip Wednesday in Memphis. Pistons 114, Grizzlies 106. Cade Cunningham came alive in the fourth, scoring 19 of his 33 points in the final period, including a 9-point streak that crushed Memphis's comeback hopes. Isaiah Stewart added a monster double-double with 26 points and 14 rebounds, while Jalen Duren and Ron Holland II each contributed 14 points. Detroit's offense was clicking all night, shooting over 50% through the first 3 quarters and dominating inside with 58 points in the paint, compared to Memphis's 30. Memphis struggled to find flow offensively, committing turnovers and failing to get inside. Jaren Jackson Jr. led the Grizzlies with 21 points, and John Morant recorded 18 points and 10 assists in his first game back from a 1-game suspension for acts detrimental to the team after Friday's loss to the Lakers. Detroit built a commanding lead in the third with a 21-4 run, pushing the score to 81-60. Memphis made a late push in the fourth, cutting the lead to 103-100 with just over 3 minutes left. But that's when Cunningham turned on the Jets, scoring 9 straight to steal the win. Detroit held Memphis at bay down the stretch, maintaining control and finishing strong. Up next, Pistons host Utah Wednesday. Grizzlies host Houston Wednesday. Nikola Jokic put on a show, scoring a season-high 34 points and dishing out 14 assists, leading the Denver Nuggets to a 131-24 victory over the Sacramento Kings. Aaron Gordon added 20 points, and the Nuggets never trailed, continuing their 6-game winning streak against Sacramento dating back to last season. Jokic, who began the season with 4 straight triple-doubles, recorded a season-low 4 rebounds, but still has a double-double in each of his first 6 games. Russell Westbrook, facing his former team, had a season-high 26 points and 12 rebounds and received a warm ovation from the crowd at the first timeout. 7 King players scored in double figures, but Zach LaVine, averaging 29.5 points this season, struggled with a season-low 15 points on 4 of 11 shooting. Nuggets coach David Alderman praised Westbrook's postseason contributions, noting Denver wouldn't have beaten the Clippers in the first round without him. Jokic was dominant early, scoring 15 points in the first quarter and helping Denver lead by as many as 12. He sat to start the fourth as Sacramento pulled within 110 to 104, but Jokic returned and hit a three-pointer, assisted by Bruce Brown on a corner triple, and added 2 layups. He sealed the win with a steal and a layup that made it 130-117 with 2:37 remaining. Christian Braun bounced back with a season-high 21 points, recovering from a poor outing in Friday's loss at Portland. Up next, Kings host Golden State Wednesday. Nuggets continue their 4-game homestand against Miami Wednesday. From the NBA to the NFL. And here are your Week 9 NFL highlights. Cue the music. Chi-Town, Chicago's Mangani runs wild, 176 yards, 26 carries, and the Bengals can't keep up. Flacco throws 4 touchdowns. Higgins hauls in 2, but it's Windy City, 47-42. Motown Magic, Vikings nip the Lions, 27-24. Jones Sr. rubbing for Minnesota. Golf tosses 2 touchdowns for Detroit. Detroit fans bite their nails. Minneapolis celebrates. Shock at Lambeau. Panthers pounce on Packers, 16-30. Dwaddle dominates 2 touchdowns, and Jordan Love can't lift. Green Bay, Cheesehead stunned Carolina cheering. Chargers lighted up in the Music City, 27-20 over the Titans. Herbert with a passing touchdown, rushing touchdown. Gatson hauling 68 yards. LA Lightning strikes Nashville. New England sneaks by Atlanta 24-23. Dante May firing touchdowns, but London hauls in 118 yards and 3 scores. Foxborough drama at its finest. San Francisco soars past the Giants 34-24. Christian McCaffrey with a dazzling double rushing and receiving touchdown. Mac Jones keeps the faithful in the Bay Area smiling. Steelers stay steel strong 27-20 over the Colts. Jonathan Taylor runs 45 yards. Jones passes for 342, but Pittsburgh prevails in the Steel City showdown. Denver dances past Houston 18-15. Knicks throws 2 touchdowns. Dobbin rumbles. Mile-high madness continues. Vegas drama in overtime. The Jaguars topple the Raiders 30-29. Bowers with 3 touchdowns. Geno Smith 4 touchdowns. Sin City sees heartbreak for the silver and black. Rams rock past the Saints 34-10. Stafford fires 4 touchdowns. William rushes for 114. LA lights up the Big Easy. Bills beat the Chiefs 28-21. Josh Allen slices Kansas City with 273 yards. Buffalo Blizzard bites Kansas City. Seahawks soar past Commanders 38-14. Darnold throws 4 touchdowns. Smith Ninja holds in 129 yards. Seattle steamrolls Washington. Monday night in Dallas, the Cardinals take the Stars down 27-17. Brissett throws 2 touchdowns. William rushes for 83. Harrison Jr. with 96 receiving. Phoenix, fire, burns, Big D. Fast, fun, frenzied NFL Sunday delivered coast to coast, city to city, touchdown to touchdown. And with that, it's always a pleasure to welcome in Albert Lanier, host of the Wise Guys Show on YouTube. Albert, how are you doing? Week 9 of the NFL. Let's get to it.
Yes, week 9, it was kind of a weird week. Maybe it's because of Halloween, because it was Halloween weekend. For some teams, it certainly was a Nightmare on Elm Street. For some that were struggling, it was Friday. It's more like Friday the 13th than, November the 1st or 2nd. And for others, other teams, it just seemed like maybe Art the Clown from Terrifier was coaching some of these teams other than real football guys. So I guess for some teams, it was a very scary, frightening, and for at least a couple teams, horrifying weekend in the NFL.
Okay. I want to start with Thursday night, Lamar Jackson's return, and he looked phenomenal against a pretty embarrassing Miami team. Lamar Jackson's return, what does this performance say about the Ravens' ceiling going forward?
Well, I think with Lamar and the offense, the ceiling might be going up a bit. So it might be rising a bit. But the problem, I think, with the Ravens is still defense. Again, look who they're playing. The Dolphins have occasionally played well, but they're generally a lackluster, poor team this year. So it was a perfect opponent for the Ravens, and it's a perfect opponent for Lamar Jackson to come back to as QB1 to play, because the Dolphins have really are dysfunctional, I would say. They're not only functioning and barely on the field at times, but I think they're dysfunctional behind the scenes, with Tua's remarks about the players' meeting and all of that, and all the speculation about whether the head coach is going to be let go. So it was a good opponent for the Ravens to try to get another win on. But again, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I really don't like all this talk about the Ravens as a playoff team. I think they've had a bad season. I think even when Lamar Jackson was in, they had problems and issues. I mean, look at the first game of the season where they scored over 40 points, but they were beaten by the Bills in one of the best games of the year, certainly one of the best games of the season. So is the ceiling going to get higher for them? Yeah, I think they're going to win a couple more games. But I think it's going to be hard for them, even if, and I say stress if, that they manage to eke it out and get to the playoffs. I don't think they're going to go very far. Too many injuries. They're not ready. Even when they're ready, they're not ready to win.
Okay. Let's talk about the main event, the primetime fight, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. How have the Bills managed to consistently get the upper hand in this rivalry?
Well, in this rivalry, this past Sunday, yesterday, what the Bills were able to do was run very well. You have Cook. He's been a very consistent rusher for the most part for the Buffalo Bills, so their running attack is quite good. I think also the defense had a good game. Very important because the Bills are seen as this kind of offensive juggernaut or close to it to a certain extent. Not just because of Josh Allen, but because of some of their other players. The defense did well. I think they got at least a couple of sacks on Patrick Mahomes, got a turnover, at least a turnover in that game. I think that defense in this contest, in this game, had the upper hand against it. And the Chiefs have a good defense. But the Chiefs this year, again, it's like the Ravens. It's a lot of hot air being stated about the Chiefs. People say they're the best team. They're 5-4 because of this loss to the Bills. How are they the best team in the NFL? They're not. They're barely a good team at point. Their offense has gotten much better. They're scoring points, but they're fundamentally they're barely a good team. They're barely a good team. Offensively, I mean, what they have is muscle memory of success, muscle memory of how to play in the playoffs, and that's what they do when they get to the playoffs. They're a team that just doesn't care. They basically have gotten to a point. They don't really care about their offense because they got some good offensive players, but they're not what they used to be. Even though they're scoring a lot better in some respects than they have in some of these games in the past, even last year when they had a great record. The Chiefs are simply a team that are a skillful, barely good team.
Okay.
With the Bills, however, they're dealing with a team that they've played so many times, and they usually get the upper hand on them. With them, I think it's defense. I think the running game was very good, and they scored a good deal of points. They scored 28 points. So you have to score at least 3 or 4 touchdowns. You either score 3 or 4 touchdowns if you're playing the Chiefs, or you play them close, and then you get like a field goal. That's normally the way you beat them in the past couple seasons or back. In couple seasons.
Yeah.
And I think you just got to get more points. You got to get at least 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Okay.
If you're not scoring against the Chiefs, I'd say this year, you're not going to be able to win. 28 points. And they came back, they had 21 points, but 28 points. So I look at that defense for the Bills. I look at the running game on that offense. And it's not just Josh Allen. Josh Allen had a good game, but it's not just Josh.
Yeah.
It's a sort of wider, more inclusive offense.
Okay. Let's go down to the Bayou. Saints trying out a new quarterback, Tyler Shrug. He did some good things, such as led a 2-minute scoring drive at the end of the first half, but he didn't have the ball enough in the second half to see whether he gained any momentum from that. He finished 14 of 24 for 176 yards with a touchdown and an interception. Is there a quarterback battle going on in New Orleans?
Well, at this point, you might as well shrug and put in shrug.
Yeah.
Because you've got nothing to lose. Guys were a little like that with putting in Jackson Dart. Of course, they put him in earlier in the season.
Yeah.
But, you might as well give him a shot. I saw, as you mentioned, a couple of good things. Some of his passing was pretty good. The reality is that you can't really evaluate a quarterback unless you've seen him, I think, anywhere from 3 to 5 games.
Right.
At least minimum. Maybe I'd say 4. So, Shrug, there's really not much you can say right now, other than some of his passes look good, and he was really in an unfair situation because the Rams were just destroying the Saints.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rams are one of the best teams in the NFC, quite frankly. I wouldn't argue in the NFL, but they're one of the best teams in the NFC. And they're a really tough out. It's not really the term for an NFL team. So it was unfair to the young man, but the NFL isn't fair.
Yeah.
You got to give him more time.
Right.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Always, I want to switch to the AFC. Always fun when the Colts and the Steelers play. A lot of history there. And this one was a Steelers runaway, and the Colts' offensive line collapsed. What did the Steelers win? Tell us about the Colts' offense and its dependence on the front five.
Well, I think I said this last week. The upcoming Colts Steelers.
Yep.
Well, it was then the upcoming.
Yep.
I said for the Steelers to win, their defense has to have a good game. They've got to get turnovers. They got to get sacks. Guess what happened in this game?
They got turnovers and sacks.
Turnovers? Yes, sir, precisely. That's what they did. Now, like I said, I'm a fan of 3 teams. Steelers are one of the teams I'm a fan of. So the advantage I have as a fan is I can look at the team and go, I understand the team. Which a lot of people don't. They look at all the stats, they look at all the facts, they look at that, but they don't know how to read the team. And I know how to read the team, and I go, when you look at this defense with the Steelers, everyone talks about how high priced they are. Who cares? The question is not how priced. They're a veteran group for the most part. And the thing about veteran groups is they have a lot of residual knowledge. But the problem with the Steelers' defense is their sometiming, right? If you look at that game last week versus the Packers, they couldn't stop the Packers.
No.
The Packers' offense in the second half was on fire. I mean, you had Jordan Love throwing it to Kraft, but a great game. Unfortunately, he's going to have to remember that game because he probably won't be back for the rest of the season.
Right.
But look at the Steelers. There are times when they have absolute great games. Basically, what the Steelers' defense is like Frankenstein. The difference is, in this case, the monster has left the laboratory or laboratory and is wreaking havoc everywhere. Sometimes that monster of a defense doesn't leave the laboratory. So what they were able to do was get a pass rush effectively. What the Steelers did to the Colts is scary.
Yeah.
Because they've had a successful year and a couple of losses. But what they did to the Colts, I don't think the Colts were ready for this team. And the Colts normally they're the most consistent team I've seen in the AFC, and not only AFC, but the NFL.
Oh, wow.
They weren't ready for this defense. I mean, this defense just tore that offensive line apart. Even I was taken aback. And I knew the Steelers could do it, but even I was taken aback by just how destructive and absolutely annihilating the Steelers were to the Colts. I'm looking at the Colts right now. Again, I think they're the best team in the AFC and the NFL. The question is, they can play some good teams well. They did it with the Colts.
Yep.
I mean, sorry, they did it. I think they played themselves.
They
played
the Rams.
The
Chargers, too, yeah.
That would be interesting. Okay, the offense plays defense. Special teams. The Colts played the Chargers and beat them and destroyed them.
Right.
And they played the Rams and they lost barely to them.
Yeah.
So
on their own accord.
Look at this. Yeah. So those are two good teams. But they couldn't do it with the Steelers. And it's that I think the weakness right now, if you look at a weakness for the Colts, if you have a really good defense and you shred that offensive line and you stop the run, because Jonathan Taylor did not have a big game.
No.
Of course, they didn't give the ball to him that much. But they didn't have a big game, so the run was stopped. Basically, how you beat the Colts, you have to have some degree of overwhelming defensive force. And you've got to destroy that offensive line. I mean, they tore it apart. I mean, really. And I had not seen that offensive line fall. So I think that's the way that you beat this team. And so if you look at the Steelers right now, their defense is sometimes. Sometimes they can wreck teams. They did it with the New England Patriots, and they did it here. I mean, yeah, it got closer, but the Steeler team, everyone kind of writes them off, but they're having another good year.
Yeah.
But it's not a great year because, I don't know, people think that they can do this. What they want them to do is do this every game, and this defense really isn't built for that.
Yeah.
It's a very good defense, but they've got to have the opportunities to wreck that line. And they had the opportunity. This is a good offensive line. Again, I'm beginning to think, I don't know what happened. It's interesting. They played the Bengals really close, and they weren't able to beat them. It was a really close game. And the Packers, they led in the half, but the second half, the Packers just were on fire. That defense couldn't stop that. So that defense of the Steelers, the front five, backfield, they've got to be able to just focus on pass rush. Again, what they have to do is just go after the ball. That's a specialty, getting turnovers. And you got Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers really doesn't need turnovers in order to get a touchdown.
No.
But it helps. I mean, what it does allow him is more opportunity for him to throw. And that's the problem with the Steelers is Aaron Rodgers could probably get a touchdown fairly fast, depending on what the amount of protection he gets. It's a little better now than it was at the beginning. But at least in the past, Aaron Rodgers could score quickly. So he may still be able to score quickly. But I think the Steelers prefer like a long series where they take time off the clock and then they score. So, like I said, what this front 4 or 5 have to do with the Steelers, they've got to have a game, not necessarily where they completely wreck an offensive line, but they've got to do something like what they did in the Colts game. Okay. They've got to be able to do that. It's really up to the pass rush, not so much backfield. It's the pass rush. And they were able to stop the run. Granted, they didn't continue with the run in that game. The Colts didn't. But they've got to be able to do that.
Okay. Where do the Colts go from here?
Well, I think the Colts, I think they've got to continue winning.
Okay.
I think you do what they do, which is beating the teams that you've already beaten.
Yeah.
Even if they're not as good as the Steelers.
Right.
Even if they're, mediocre to poor, you just keep winning. The main thing for the Colts, what are they right now? They're 7-2, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's
right.
They're 7-2. They got to focus on getting 10 wins. Colts have to get 10 wins. They get 10 wins, then they don't have to worry as much. They drop another game or two, won't matter as much. They got to focus on 10 wins right now.
Okay.
Because once they get about 10 wins, unless it gets like really, really, really competitive for some reason, which I doubt, I think they're good to go, at least toward the playoffs. What they have to worry about is the playoffs.
Yeah.
They don't want to face the Steelers in the playoffs.
No.
They don't want to face the Steelers in the playoffs.
So you're saying they're a lock to win the South?
Is there anyone close?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Let's
no.
Yeah.
They got to worry about getting 10 wins, and they got to worry about getting what they want is home field. Become the number one seed in the AFC. So that's what their homework is. If I don't know if there are any people from the Colts that listen to the show or any of the NFL teams that listen to the show, but I would say here's your homework: Indianapolis Colts. Win about 3 more games and find a way to lock up number one seed in the AFC, and then work on strengthening that, making sure that offensive line is really, really solid when you go into the playoffs. Because you don't want what happened to the Chargers. Chargers got destroyed in the playoffs last year by the Texans. The Texans wrecked that offensive line. So that offensive line's got to hold. It's okay that it didn't hold. I mean, it's not really okay, but at least you can learn from it. You go, okay, this happened. What can we do to fortify it? That offensive line's got to hold. If it doesn't, the Colts are in trouble in the postseason. If they don't make the postseason, I would be surprised at this point. This is the midway point. I would be surprised they didn't make the postseason.
Okay.
Unless they have a complete disaster.
Colts right now 7-2. Jacksonville's 5-3. Houston's 3-5. Tennessee's 1-8.
Right.
Let's shift gears to Sunday Night Football. Washington taking on Seattle. The big story, of course, Jaden Daniels, his injury. How does his absence impact Washington's offense in the NFC playoff race moving forward?
I don't think there's an NFC playoff race for Washington right now.
Okay.
I don't think there has been for the past couple of weeks. I think they've kind of spiraled. The disaster that occurred, what happened was that the Chicago game was a disaster for Washington. That's when everything spiraled downward. And they haven't been the same since. They got destroyed by Dallas. They were destroyed by the Seahawks. Now, the Seahawks are one of the hidden gems, even though they're not really hidden. They're one of the hidden gems in the NFL. This is a team, I'll tell anybody, this team gets to the playoffs, you better be frightened.
Seattle.
Your team, you better be, If they get to the playoffs, you better be scared. If you're an OC, if you're a DC, if you're even special teams, you better be scared of this team. Because Seattle has a really good defense, and their offense is consistent. At least Darnold's okay now. He can hit the wall. It can all crack up.
Yeah.
But so far, Darnold is working well. I think what he has is a good defense. So with Washington, there's no playoff hunt for them. I really don't. I don't think they're in any state. I think their offense is pretty much decimated. I don't mean Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
I think he's just had a bad year, and he's tried to come back from injuries and it hasn't worked.
Okay.
And they can't can't make it work. And without him, you don't have. I mean, they could win without him. But I don't think they can go in the playoffs without him. I don't think they can succeed. So I don't see a playoff hunt for Washington. They still think they're in it. I don't think they are. And I just don't see them being a factor.
Okay. Where do we go to see the Wise Guys?
Well, the Wise Guys Show can be found on YouTube. You can go to at Ryder Albert Lanier 3434. That's at Ryder Albert Lanier 3434 on YouTube. Ryder Albert Lanier is my YouTube channel, official YouTube channel. And you can catch the Wise Guys Show. I think I just put up episode 9, meaning week 9 episode. So that should already be up. So you can check that out. The Wise Guys Show at Ryder Albert Lanier 3434 channel on YouTube.
Okay, they have it. Our NFL Hot Topics Week 9 with Albert Lanier. Always a pleasure to talk with Albert. Check out the Wise Guys Show on YouTube. From the NFL to college football, Week 10 is in the books, and as usual, it delivered chaos in the most American way possible. 2 top 10 teams hit the road and lost unranked opponents just like that. The playoff landscape shifts. A third team falls to a lower ranked opponent. You think you've got a grip on things, and suddenly, bam, Georgia flirted with disaster again. It's like clockwork. Every time you watch, you're thinking, no way. Are they getting out of this alive? And the ACC, forget about it. Nothing makes sense. Virginia and Louisville ranked 15 and 16 respectively. Both look like they were about to face plant before rallying late. That's ACC football, right? Chaos, bedlam, and somehow still entertaining. Now, Week 10 didn't give us absolute disaster across the board. Most of the mass was contained to the ACC. And now, with 2/3 of the season behind us, we officially shift into playoff hyperdrive, right? Tomorrow, the playoff committee will meet for the first time, and every game matters from here on out. Every loss, every close call, it's amplified. So let's take a look back at Week 10 through my playoff tier lenses. This is how I separate teams who are really in the conversation from those who are just pretending. So Tier 1, Indiana, Ohio State, Texas A&M, the top dogs. Indiana is 9-0 after a demolition of Maryland, 55-10. Ohio State 8-0. Breezes past Penn State, 38-14. Texas A&M also 8-0. These are your 3 most likely playoff teams, and don't get cute with the committee rankings, right? And they might try to rank Alabama ahead of A&M because of a big win and whatever, but the Aggies deserve the edge. Road win over Notre Dame, check. Didn't lose to Florida State, check. This is how it's done. Tier 2, this is where things start to get interesting. Ole Miss, Oregon, Alabama, BYU, Texas Tech, Georgia, right? Oh, hey. 7-1. 1 quarter of brilliance per game, and they somehow pull out wins. Spotting Florida a 2017 lead, letting them march into the field goal, and still pulling it out, right? Classic Bulldogs. They stuff a 4th and 1. Drive for a touchdown, force a 4-and-out win, and win the game. You want consistency. They don't give it, but wins matter. Texas Tech jumped into Tier 2 after a surprisingly comfortable win over Kansas State. 8 wins by at least 23 points, 1 loss without starting quarterback Bernhard Morton. The eye test passes, right? Strength of schedule, not great, but if the committee is looking at best team, they're right there. Ole Miss, Oregon, Alabama, BYU, solid records, quality wins, playoff resumes. Georgia's a stressful mess, but a Tier 2 team. Tier 3. This is a transition tier. Notre Dame, Virginia, Louisville, Texas, Georgia Tech. Texas moved up with a win over Vanderbilt. Georgia Tech slid after losing to NC State. Virginia and Louisville hot in the ACC. Won as favorites and boosted their conference title odds. Tier 3 is all about momentum and timing. 1 week up, 1 week down. That's what makes this part of the season fun. Tier 4, 2-loss SEC and Big Ten teams. Hot ACC teams. Some group of fives with a punch and a chance. Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, Utah, Miami, USC, Washington, Missouri, Michigan, Pitt, Duke, Iowa, SMU. It's messy. Any one of these teams could surprise you. Tier 5, James Madison, North Texas, Memphis, USF, San Diego State. Long shots, mostly group of fives. JMU jumped after a road win last week. They might not have the resume, but they've got momentum. And the American Conference winner is still favorite for that single group of five playoff bid. Some say it's Miami. Others think it's going to be Navy. But you never know. And so Tuesday, the first CFP rankings, the AP poll, the BCS's formula, strength of record, resume, SP+, top 11 locked, I think. Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia. From 12 to 21, you shuffle city, right? Louisville, Texas, Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech, Utah, anything can happen. Strength of schedule arguments, resume, SP+ arguments, chaos is welcome. Hypothetical playoff bracket. Here's my take on the 12-team bracket heading into Week 11. I have 9 Texas Tech at 8 BYU. Winner would face number 1 Ohio State. Number 12, my group of 5 team is North Texas at number 12. They would take on 5 Georgia. Winner faces 4 Alabama, 11 Louisville at 6 Oregon. Winner faces 3 Texas A&M. Notre Dame at 10, 7 Ole Miss. Winner would face number 2 Indiana. Simulated hypothetically, first round Texas Tech over BYU, Georgia over North Texas, Oregon over Louisville, Notre Dame over Ole Miss. Quarterfinals, Texas Tech shocks Ohio State, Alabama beats Georgia, Texas A&M over Oregon, Indiana over Notre Dame. Semis, Alabama over Texas Tech, Indiana over A&M. Finals, Indiana over Alabama. Hypothetical, sure. Fun, absolutely. Notre Dame was my preseason pick, if you remember correctly, and I've not drifted over that, but that's fun. And I would love to see Indiana, not cutting down the nets, basketball term there, but would be some fun times if a team from Indiana wins at Notre Dame or Indiana. It would be absolute fun. So Week 10 thoughts here. Mario Cristobal from Miami, another double-digit favorite loss, 5th off his tenure. Death, taxes, Miami choking. Arkansas, 18 penalties, 193 yards. Still competitive until the final 11 minutes. Mississippi State wins. Sam Pittman fired. If he wasn't already, probably now. Interim Bobby Petrino, not inspiring confidence either. SEC close games are ridiculous. 6 games Saturday, 5-1 score. Arkansas leads points per drive in conference play, 0-5. That's competitiveness for you. November will be decided by inches. Texas A&M and Alabama have multiple one-score games remaining. Georgia 2. Every play matters. Colorado done. Lost 81 points over 2 games when expected to lose by 23. West Virginia coming up 3-9. Finish likely. Deion Sanders stepping down? Maybe. Could be a conversation. Deshaun Jackson at Delaware State. Phenomenal. From 1-11 last year to 6-3 this season. Beat Michael Vick's Norfolk State. Celebration Bowl bound probably. Best hire of last season's coaching? Maybe. And now, let's wrap this up with the 12-team bracket breakdown. So, seeds 1 through 12 and how I see them. So, Ohio State, undefeated, dominant. Everything you want in a 1 seed. Indiana, 9-0. Efficient, strong resume. Second only to Ohio State. Texas A&M, 8-0. Big wins, road-tested. One of the most complete teams. Alabama, 7-1. Talent loaded. Close calls, high ceiling. Georgia, 7-1. Stressful wins, but big victories count. Oregon 7-1, clean wins, strong schedule, dangerous in a playoff. Ole Miss 5-1, efficient, solid defense. Path is tricky, but possible. BYU 8-0, eye test, passes, schedule, and they're still dangerous. Texas Tech 8-1, big wins, lone loss with outstanding. And as their starting quarterback, road tested too. Notre Dame 6-2, solid. but bracket tests them early. Oxford trip not easy. Louisville 7-1 hot team. ACC chaos, one slip away from elimination. North Texas 8-1, my group 5. And you can debate that. Maybe it's Memphis, maybe it's Navy. I'm going to put North Texas in there until somebody can tell me otherwise. And that's the field. And so 1 through 12 top teams at the top. Dangerous sleepers in the middle. A couple of long shots to shake things up. Playoff hyperdrive is officially on. Buckle up. Every game matters. Every close call could rewrite this bracket. This is what November college football is all about. From college football to college basketball, and that's what's trending in sports. Season officially kicked off today. Here are the final scores. Number 5, St. John's taking on Quinnipiac. Mitchell, 18.7 rebounds, 4 steals. St. John's wins at 108-74. Hall of Fame series in Las Vegas. The defending champions, Florida Gators, ranked 3rd, taking on 13th ranked Arizona. Arizona knocks out the champs 93-87 thanks to Pete. 30 points, 7 rebounds, 3 steals. UConn, number 4, taking on New Haven. Huskies win it 79-55. Carbons, 19 points, 10 rebounds. Number 14, Arkansas taking on Southern. They won at 109-77. Brazil, 25 points, 11 rebounds for Pig Suey. Mercer taking on number 18, Tennessee. Rocky Top gets it done, 76-61. Amet, 18 points, 9 rebounds. Colgate taking on number 22, Michigan State. Sparty Nation wins at 80-69. Fears Jr., 14 points, 10 assists, 5 steals. Central Arkansas taking on number 25, North Carolina. Tar Heels get it done, 94-54. Wilson had 22 points. Number 2, Houston taking on Lehigh, 75-57 for the Cougars. Sharp had 24 points, 7 rebounds, 3 steals. Number 15, Alabama taking on North Dakota. And the roll tied, 91-62. Philin Jr., 22 points, 8 assists for Alabama. Number 16, Iowa State taking on Fairleigh Dickinson. Cyclones get it done, 88-50. Moklavic, 29 points for ISU. Green Bay taking on number 19, Kansas. Kansas gets it done, 94-51. Big Guna, 23.6 rebounds and 3 blocks. Bethune-Cookman, number 20, taking on number 20, Auburn. Murphy, 17 points, 8 rebounds. Campbell taking on number 24, Wisconsin. Blackwell had 31 points in Wisconsin's win. Oakland taking on number 7, Michigan. Michigan gets it done. Johnson Jr. with 24 points. Jackson State taking on Illinois. And how about the Fighting Illini? 113-55. Morkovic, 19 points, 14 rebounds. South Carolina State taking on number 11, Louisville. Louisville gets it done, 1-0. 104-45. Their record is 1-0. Roots, 20.7 rebounds. Gonzaga, number 21. Texas Southern, not ranked. Gonzaga wins at 98-43. Ike had 13 points, 11 rebounds. Villanova taking on number 8, BYU, 71-66 for BYU. Dibanasta, 21.6 rebounds. And finally, Eastern Washington taking on UCLA, who's ranked 12th. Bruins get it done, 80-74. Den had 21 points, 9 assists. Tomorrow, 7:30 Eastern, the Hardwood Report returns and sets the stage for Magic versus Hawks. Texas versus number 6 Duke as we kick off our college basketball season with the Dick Vitale Invitational. And Thunder versus Clippers to close the night. 3 games, 1 show, all hearts. 7:30 Eastern on the Hardwood Report. That's what's trending in sports. Here's tonight's final thought. California has long been a place where stories are larger than life, where ambition meets opportunity, and where the improbable often becomes reality. Over the past week, the state has played host to some of the most remarkable international sports stories of the year. Stories that connect continents and cultures in ways that remind us why we watch and why we care. Take Los Angeles, where the Dodgers captured back-to-back World Series titles in a season defined not just by talent, but by philosophy. At the heart of it was Yoshinobu Yamamoto, a 5'10", 170-pound pitcher from Japan who achieved something so rare it echoes across generations of baseball lore. In Games 6 and 7 of the World Series with zero rest, he dominated a Blue Jays lineup that had outscored the Dodgers for most of the series. The only other pitcher to do this, Randy Johnson in 2001. But where Johnson leveraged size and power, Yamamoto harnessed balance, precision, and an almost spiritual understanding of movement. And it all came from the guidance of his mentor, Osamu Yada. Yada is no typical coach, a biomechanist, a philosopher, a man who insists that baseball is much more about harmony with the body as it is about throwing strikes. He taught Yamamoto to draw power from coordination, to use hundreds of muscles in concert, and to see pitching not as an act of force, but as an act of balance. Handstands, mini scooter balls, featherweight javelins, tools that might look eccentric, even whimsical, but ones that forged a pitchers capable of rewriting history. In Game 7, he came in from the bullpen, eyes steady, command flawless, and for 2 2/3 innings, he shut down a Toronto lineup that had threatened to steal the championship. And while baseball fans were witnessing a masterclass in pitching, California's racetracks were telling another story of Japanese excellence. At Del Mar, Forever Young, a Japanese-bred horse trained by Yoshito Yagahei, captured the Breeders' Cup Classic in dominating fashion, defeating previous champions and asserting the global talent can and will rise here on American soil. Jockey Raizu Saki guided him perfectly, timing his move with patience and precision, turning a tactical race into a moment of pure triumph. It was a victory that spoke to the same values of Yamamoto, embodies preparation, patience, and unwavering belief in what others might consider improbable. What these stories share is a common thread, that the meddling of cultures, philosophies, and the extraordinary with the everyday. In Los Angeles and Del Mar, the sun shines on heroes not just because of their talent, but because of their mentors who shaped them, the traditions that informed them, and the risk they were willing to take to achieve greatness. Yamamoto and Yada, Forever Young and Yage, they remind us that California is more than a backdrop. It's a proving ground, a place where dreams meet discipline, where effort becomes legend, and where the world comes to witness excellence. In a state known for its entertainment, its beaches, and its stars, sometimes the brightest lights come not from Hollywood, but from the mound and the racetrack. Reminders that greatness knows no borders, and that in California, it can happen anywhere, at any time. That'll do it for me on this Monday night. Till next time, Ryder Bullock reporting.